Hello YouTube! I am Pinstar and this is Lethis Path of Progress Strategy and Tactics Quick Tip Episode 3. So I've got a couple of good tips here for you today. So to satiate our emperor, to keep on demanding our fish, I've created 3 more fisheries and also started importing potatoes. Hopefully my stores will start feeding the people potatoes so that we may stockpile the fish and therefore send them to the emperor before he gets too pissy about it. But that's not what my tip is today. My tip today is several. First off, it's going to be in terms of doing engineers when you're doing industrial things. Now, I set up another engineer here, and you might not be able to see too well. There's a roadblock right here. So just in keeping with my original strategy of make sure that that rectangle is all set and pretty, this roadblock right here is preventing the engineer from this rectangle from getting out. But we need to maintain these buildings here, so I built another engineer here. And there comes my next tip. When you're dealing with engineers in an industrial area, put them at the very end of a line. And here's the reason. Watch. We go here to the engineering thing, we can see their path of coverage, and since they are at the very end of the line, they have no place to go but forwards. And that's great because we can see the exact extent of their coverage. This guy, even though the road keeps going on like that, this guy is going to get to here, turn around, and come home. So when we originally just had our 4 fisheries plus this trading post and whatnot, this one engineering bay is all we really needed. But now that we've added a little bit more, these things are going to collapse if we don't do anything about that. Now, if we put the engineer, say, right here in the middle, yeah, he might come over here and visit them, and yeah, he might come over here and visit them, but that's not reliable. That you're kind of rolling the dice at that point. And when it comes to building collapses, there's some cases where I might want to roll the dice, but when it comes to building collapses, I don't like rolling the dice because some of these buildings are freaking expensive. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put one here at the end. Yeah, yes, he's going to intermingle and probably oversaturate this area. That's fine for now. These engineering bays are cheap. They're $60 a piece or 60 florins a piece, and I'm playing on hard here. They might be even cheaper on the lower difficulty levels, but they are worth it because if they save but one building collapsing that's equal to or greater than 60, then they've already paid for themselves. Yeah, they employ a few people, 8 people on hard, 6 people on lower difficulties, but that's fine. That's fine. Now, my next tip here for you in terms of industrial expansions is involving farms and ratios. So, in our housing blocks here, they want booze. They want booze. That is their next level. So we have placed down some farms here. I've got 4 barley farms and 4 wheat farms here. Now, when setting up your oop, I just realized my road's a little broken there. There we go. I'm surprised people were able to get to there production-wise. Anyway, when setting up your stuff here, what I recommend, and we're going to focus first on barley here, is you want to get yourself a granary and set it fairly close to where the farms are located here. It doesn't have to be like right next to them. So in this case, this one's pretty good. Now, in terms of keeping your supply chains organized and not having your goods pollute other stuff. Once you have more than one granary, it's time to start taking more micromanaging control of them. So what I recommend for all new storage buildings after your first one is tell them to refuse everything and then manually turn on what you want them to do. In this case, I want this particular storehouse to actually be a storehouse for both our barley and our wheat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to accept the barley, I'm going to accept the wheat. Now we also want to make sure that no one crop dominates the other. We want to make sure there's enough room for each of them. So since the building can have a total of 6,000, we're going to dial down the maximum allowed of each to 3,000. Now this should be enough to absorb a full month's crop, and you want to make sure that your granary storage production or capacity is enough to absorb an entire crop. Otherwise, you're going to be wasting some of it. So as you expand your farms to meet the growing demand of your city, make sure your granary capacity expands likewise. And obviously, if you're going to expand a lot more barley farms than wheat farms, then you might want to have granaries that are more dedicated to barley holding. But for the moment, since we are a 50-50 split in our farms, and we have a fairly modest number of farms, this will do nicely. Now, for those of you who are a little bit more eagle-eyed, you might be saying, hey, Pinstar, that building, no engineer coverage. You'd be right. So we do need to make sure there's engineer coverage, but it's a little bit more nuanced than that. So when putting down an engineer for sort of an outpost style thing, there's a couple of things you can keep in mind to sort of maximize the benefit you get from said engineer. First off, yeah, this engineer is going to just set to the wild. This engineer is going to wander all over creation. So we're going to put him down here, but we're going to curtail his path here. And so what we want to do is we want to roadblock him off. Now, keeping in mind that only one tile next to a building, no matter how large the building, needs to get passed by in order to be considered serviced. So, the fact that it's only covering these two tiles, this will not collapse. Now, he still could wander all over creation in this direction. We don't want him doing that, so we're going to cap him at this bridge, because we're going to get a couple more production buildings over here. Now, that brings me to my next point, ratios. So, the ratios that I've found optimal is for barley, if you're making beer, two barley fields can feed and keep one abbey producing. So we have 4 barley fields. We are going to get ourselves 2 abbeys. Now, bear in mind that beer cannot be stored in a granary. It needs to be stored elsewhere. So as soon as you get that going, you're going to need a warehouse style storage. And in this one, you might want to put the warehouse somewhat closer to, although not directly next to, because it's a negative beautification effect to your warehouses here. So I'm going to put this here. And again, so now that we're dealing with more and more types of products and we don't want things to get polluted, we're going to do the same thing and make sure that this is only accepting beer right now. Once we start dealing with more than one type of dry good, then we might start partitioning it out. And actually, we are going to start dealing with more than one dry good right now. So the other ratio is for our wheat fields. 2 wheat fields can feed 1 mill. Can we put you over here? There we go. And again, you only need 1 tile. So these mills, I'm going to put the roadblock right here so that he doesn't have to cover too much extra ground. Yes, there is an intersection here, but because it's such a tight space, he's going to be passing by this intersection so often that I'm fairly comfortable with none of these buildings collapsing on me. So anyway, 2 farm fields equals 1 mill. 1 mill equals 2 bakeries. So in 4 bakeries in total. Now these guys are going to be spitting out flour, but the flour is going to be taken over here. So actually, I think I'm going to do 50-50 split here for beer and flour. Flour. You're not near steam. I'm still learning the icons. Flour, there we go. Flour is considered a dry good, even though it is part of the food chain. It is not stored in a granary. So we'll put the flour over here, and then we will put our 4, nope, those are abbeys, bakeries down nearby. We can do that. 2, 3, 4. So that once our first harvest comes in, we'll keep our fields busy. Now, keeping in mind these sort of act as their own thing here. So these, in terms of producing enough to feed your people, are going to be supplementing these and also supplementing our fish. Which case we probably don't need to import these potatoes. I might just import one round. Actually, nah, I won't import a round of potatoes, but you get the idea. So that is my hints and tips on ratios. So if you like this video and you want to see more like it, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and leave me a comment, good, bad, or indifferent. Your feedback is always welcome. So until next time, this has been Pinstar signing out. See ya.